The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. They're coming to customers. Pledge $5. Get $100 bonus funds. Use promo code NBA SGPN. And welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently Friday morning, October 31st, around 11 a.m. Eastern. I'm your host, Reichel, once again joined by Lonte Smith. Together, we're going to break down the first day of NBA Cup action. We have 8 games on the card for Friday. Should be fun if you are excited for NBA basketball. Can interest you in a bunch of really bright colors because you're going to see that on the courts for the games tonight. Lonte, how's it going with you? What's up? You excited for the NBA Cup?
I'm excited for the NBA Cup. It's been a really good start to the season, man. From a fan perspective, also, overall, just the games have been pretty entertaining. I think we'll be getting some really high scoring performances from guys seemingly like every night. So I think the product, along with some of the things that are going on with like production, like NBC is doing a hell of a job. I think the Amazon is doing a hell of a job as well. So just the production and just the overall viewpoint of the game has been amazing. So yeah, man, I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see how this looks on Amazon Prime as well. So yeah, good slate. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we had 2 good games yesterday. The Bucks were without Giannis at the last minute. They won anyway. So nice win for Milwaukee. Rollins had a great game. Shout out to him. And San Antonio was able to survive a brief fourth quarter collapse, and then they were able to kind of right the ship. Wemby did Wemby things, and they ended up winning the game. So you had 2 close games. Orlando got back on track, beating Charlotte. Damn, that Hornets team can't guard anybody. And the Wizards played the Thunder. It went the way you thought it would. So either way, once again, a couple of competitive games yesterday, though. Only 4. Now we have 8 on the card. Should be fun. Looking forward to it. But a reminder, for the NBA Cup, of course, it is an in-season tournament. Do teams care? Not all of them, but some do. And there is a cash prize at the end of it. So if you do end up winning, you end up getting some bonus money. But keep in mind, there is also an incentive for score differential. So if you end up seeing teams still trying up a bunch in the fourth quarter, it's because they're hunting for that score differential. So keep that in mind. But either way, should be fun. Looking forward to it. And hopefully we'll make some money in the process. Before we get into any of the 8 games on the card for Friday, a reminder that you can check out the NFL, MLB, NBA, college football, and NHL coverage on this network, because we have podcasts that are giving out picks for free on all those different sports and leagues. So check out the actual SGPN feed to catch every episode of every show, wherever you get your podcast, whether it involves Spotify or Apple. Anyway, moving on to the actual games here for Friday. Starting off with the first game, you have the Hawks taking on the Pacers. Now, for this game, you are looking at both teams being quite shorthanded because Trae Young, we know, is now injured. Indiana, I mean, everybody's injured. Going through the injury report here, no Mathurin, no McConnell, no Nembhard, no Toppin. Even Cam Jones is out. Furphy and Peter are both questionable. It's a mess. There's really nothing else to say about it. Hawks are favored by 2.5. The over-under is at 232.5. I'll ask you, because I've mentioned this in the past, that the Hawks defense tends to play a lot better when Trae's out of the lineup. Go figure. They beat the Nets after he got injured in the middle of the first quarter, and they ended up looking pretty good anyway. I'll ask you, because Indiana's at home. We know they have a good atmosphere, but this team stinks because of injuries. They made the finals last year. Now they're one of the only 3 winless teams left in the league. I think Atlanta's a better team because they're healthier, and they do have some size, whether it involves Porzingis, who's actually healthy for now. I think Okonkwo's been really good so far this season. Jalen Johnson's healthy. They can frustrate Indiana on the interior, not to mention the fact that Indiana's ball handlers are not exactly ideal right now, with Shepard and Nesmith being their backcourt. I like Atlanta. For Indiana, it's a war of attrition. They just don't have enough bodies, and they ended up losing to Dallas in their last game after AD played, I think it was 7 minutes, and then he left. I got Atlanta on the road. Indiana might just be a lost cause.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's not really a ton of handicap here for me. I mean, Atlanta's obviously the better team. You laid it out. I think the Pacers.
I'm not sure they're good either, by the way, but they're better than Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the Hawks have had like guys in and out of the lineup, so they haven't really been playing with a ton of continuity. But the Pacers are just kind of a shell of themselves, man. They don't have good ball handlers, like you mentioned. They're committing a league high, 28.5 fouls per game. So obviously that has to do with some of the the lack of size that they have on the interior, and also just not being able to guard on the perimeter. So Atlanta, I mean, I think they have all the makings of a matchup nightmare here, and this is why you go get Nickeil Alexander-Walker 4 times like this. So I do believe that he'll play well. The Pacers, they've still been feisty, with injury issues, and I think that's good coaching. But I think they are up against it here against the Hawks. So they went winless. Indiana went winless last year in Cup games, so not a good history of Cup games. So I think Atlanta can kind of exercise some demons here and win by a couple positions.
Yeah, I feel the same way. At the end of the day, I think Jalen Johnson is the best player on the court for this matchup, and I think Jalen Johnson's solid. Also a sign of how injured these teams actually are. I'll put it this way. I don't know how good Atlanta's going to be. I feel pretty good about my Okonkwo 6 Man of the Year award. It's still early in the season, but he's putting up double-doubles. He looks sharp. Porzingis offensively has been solid when healthy, had the illness, missed a couple games. But you're looking at this Indiana backcourt, which could be questionable with Shepard and with Nesmith. And as it's mentioning for JT, you have Dyson Daniels now guarding the ball handler. Not the matchup you want when you have a limited actual, depth at this point. So I like Atlanta in this game. I understand this team might be flawed defensively, but so is Indiana, and Atlanta has more firepower. Good enough for me. Alexander Walker also had a solid game after getting off to a slow start this season. He was good against the Nets. I think the Hawks should score enough points to win, so I'll go with Atlanta on the road in this one. Moving on to what looked like it was going to be an ugly game preseason. Now it's actually entertaining. Celtics taking on the Sixers. So the Celtics, we saw bury Cleveland in their last game by 20. Philly, though, undefeated somehow. Came back against the Wizards after they got buried earlier in the game. But for this one, Philly's laying 1.5, and the over-under's at 234.5. The real story is the backcourt for Philly with Maxey and with Edgecombe, of course. And being on the min restriction, I find it a weird coincidence that every fourth quarter run the Sixers go on, Embiid's on the bench. I find that very fascinating. But anyway, point is the Celtics really have no centers. So you can make an argument that Keita might have his work cut out for him against Embiid. But then again, they actually played against each other already this season. And we ended up, did they play? Yeah, they played each other already. And Philly did win by 1 in Boston. Maxey had 40 in that game. Edgecombe had 34. Embiid had 4 points on 1 of 9 shooting in 20 minutes. So I know Terrell likes to mention start centers against the Celtics. Apparently Embiid didn't get the memo in the first game. He should be motivated because he was that bad in the first meeting. I do expect him to play better, but we know it is now officially the Maxey and Edgecombe show for Boston. Jaylen Brown doing Jaylen Brown things. He's been very good, and we have seen Pritchard have some moments as well. I like Philly at home in this game. I think the home crowd should be into it. Philly had no expectations going to the season. I get based on the actual roster payments. I'd say the hot seat's definitely there for Morey with Paul George and with Embiid making a ton of money. But you know what? This team is something I did not think I would say going into the season. This team is fun. So I do like watching Maxey and Edgecombe play. I'm not saying they're going to go for 74 combined again, but I do think the backcourt is solid. I like the pace in this game, though. I like the over. I think Philly's going to play fast throughout because they need to. I think Embiid will play better than his 4-point outing he had against the Celtics the first time around. I got the over in this game. I'll go for Philly at home. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I like over. I don't really feel comfortable taking a side. I usually want to back Philly. I think you pretty much handicapped it perfectly of how I envision betting Philly. Like, I want them whenever Embiid's not in the game, because when he is in the game, he doesn't get back on defense. When he does, he gets blown by consistently. I don't know if you saw, but Alex Sarr was treating him like a child in that first quarter, like just posting him up.
I think he had 20 at the half.
Yeah, in the first quarter, he probably had a string of maybe like 6 or 8 points in a row, and Embiid just could not stop him. Now, obviously, Boston does not have the type of big that other guys have, that other teams have. So they have to do it in a different way. So I'm looking at them to kind of spread the floor, especially when Embiid's on the floor, maybe go a little bit smaller, space them out. But I do like Philly. I just think that in this specific matchup, I'll take Boston at plus money. I mean, I don't really love it, but Maxey and VJ are playing out of their minds. I just think the way that they play and how they kind of maximize their ability is without Embiid on the floor, kind of slowing things down because they have to walk the ball up the court a little bit more. So I think that's a disadvantage whenever he's in. Now, granted, he's still nursing injury, whatever the case may be, but who knows if he'll ever be 100%. But right now, it's just, and I think that's wearing them down. And what are they, 4-0? I like Boston to kind of take advantage of that. And BJ and Maggie, 74 is a lot of points. Now they might, if they can go for like 54.
Well, once again, Embiid put up 4, so there is some distribution there. Grimes could also have a solid game as well. You can find points elsewhere.
Yeah, and McCain he practiced yesterday, so I think he's going to be back. Obviously, maybe on a little bit of minutes restriction as well. So I like Philly going forward. I just would probably rather go with Boston here, but I do agree over would be the only thing I would play for sure in this specific game.
Yeah, I agree. I'll go for Philly at home because the crowd I think will be into it, but I do like the over in this game. Both teams we know are going to shoot a bunch of threes, which bodes well for the over in this one. Moving on to the next game, Raptors taking on the Cavaliers. Remember when the Raptors won the first game of the season? Good times because they haven't won since. The Cavs are laying 6.5 at home. Over-unders at 239.5. We know that Mitchell was questionable before that Celtics game, ended up playing, and he ended up doing nothing for the final 3 quarters as Cleveland got buried. But you know what? If there's a team to get back on track against offensively, it's the Raptors because this team can't guard anybody. For the actual numbers, I'd say worth mentioning for the Toronto defense, the Raptors have allowed at least 118 points in every game. They've allowed at least 121 points in 4 straight. They've allowed 139 in 2 of their last 3 games. They allowed the Mavericks to score 139 points. That team can score against anybody. They scored 139 against Toronto. So for Cleveland, for the injury report, Mitchell's questionable, Allen's questionable. We'll see if they play. I mean, Mitchell ended up playing against Boston, so I think he'll play anyway. But either way, Cleveland favored by a ton. We could argue not enough. They're kind of hedging their bets a little bit, not knowing if Mitchell and or Allen are going to play. But Toronto really can't stop a high school team. So I just expect Cleveland to score a bunch of points either way. I like the over. I like Cleveland team total over. I think Cleveland might get to 130. Toronto, look, they're entertaining if you enjoy betting player prop overs and you enjoy just watching teams play track meet basketball with no defense. But it doesn't lead to wins. This team can't guard anybody. Give me Cleveland minus 6.5.
Yeah, I mean, damn, I don't know if it's too much more I can add to what you just broke down. That's exactly how I feel. 6.5 is a bit short. I know the hamstring injury is kind of, especially in that second half, kind of like stymied Mitchell, and then Allen is a big part of it because Toronto. Me and Terrell talked about it in the game against Houston. Like they were out rebounded 53-22. They don't have any interior presence, and Jakob Poeltl was out, so they're playing a 6'7" rookie at center. That's not what you want to do against Mobley and Allen. Now they can move some pieces around and have Mobley play the center if Allen is out, but I would much rather have Allen in the game as well. I'll be looking at his rebounds, but this is the start of a 3-game road trip, 3-game homestand for Cleveland. They played their first 5 games in 4 different cities. They spoke about the team and the coaching staff spoke about like energy and being more physical, and I think this is a spot to do so. You talked about the defensive numbers for Toronto. They've got 4 straight losses, 3 of those by double figures. I think this number is way short. Mitchell's probably going to play. I think we can count on that. Allen, probably a toss-up, but I think Mitchell will play. I think he'll perform well. I think the Cavs win this by double digits.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Look, Toronto's going to be an entertaining team to watch because, once again, every game they have basically has 250 points. So I think Cleveland has a shot of 130 in this game because every team has a shot of 130 against them. Once again, Toronto's allowed at least they've allowed at least 118 in every game, 121 plus in 4 straight. I mean, it's a catastrophe. Just watching this team play anybody. They have no actual paint defense. We know Poeltl, not a good rim protector. He ended up missing last game anyway. He's out again. They're using Murray Boyles right now as potentially their center, who is an interesting rookie, but I don't view him as being a center when he's 6'7". that's probably not the guy you want at center. So I'll go with, once again, the Cavs and the over for this one. Cavs team total is worth a look as well. Moving on to the next one. Actually, before we get into the next game on the card, a reminder that we're brought to you by our sponsor, Bookie.ag. Using to bet on football, basketball, hockey, tennis, you name it. They have a prop builder second to none. Their model simple. Bet anything, anywhere, anytime. Use crypto for funding your account for getting nice payouts for your actual winnings. And a reminder, when you sign up on Bookie.ag, use code SGPN for a special 100% bet back bonus of $500 to customers. Bookie.ag promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Novig, so you can check them out. Number one prediction market for sports in America. Guns great prices with Novig, so make sure you check that platform out. Available in 30 states. Download the Novig app when you do so. $50 to spend just $5 if use our promo code SGPN. And then actually Novig promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the McGann Podcast. Finished going through the first couple games for the Friday card. Time going into the next game. Moving on to the Knicks, taking on the undefeated Bulls. Knicks are laying 4.5. The over-under's at 234.5. Expecting a really bright red court for this game. For the injury report, Towns is probable. Mitchell Robinson might play. He's questionable, has not played yet this season. For Chicago, no Kobe White, no problem. And I forgot Zach Collins was still in the league. So Chicago has been very good. They're undefeated. You're looking at the offense, and they've been very solid. 3-0 at home as well. But the Bulls beat the Pistons, the Magic, the Hawks, and the Kings. So a nice job so far. For the Knicks, not looking too great so far this season, as they are currently 2-2. 0-2 on the road. I'll point out tough schedule. I mean, they beat Cleveland. They ended up beating Boston. Played Miami on the road, who's low-key pretty good. And they lost to Milwaukee, who apparently is a juggernaut. So either way, point is the Knicks have not played that well. Tough schedule. I know that Boston had a higher win total than Chicago preseason. You can argue that this is the easiest opponent the Knicks have had so far this season, which is once again not saying a lot because they've had a tough schedule so far. But I'll ask you, Chicago's been good. Vibes are good. But the Knicks are definitely looking to get back on track. Towns, though, looks lost in this offense right now. And Robinson defensively can help with some things. What do you like in this game?
Yeah, I think you broke it down perfectly once again, especially with the strength of schedule. I think the Knicks get right here. The Bulls off to their first 4-0 start since 2021, 2022. They've been playing extremely well. They've getting a lot of contributions from different guys. I think it's hard to scheme and plan for, all these different parts. They got guys giving them double-digit points. I think a game ago they had 6 guys in double figures. And they don't even have, they're probably their best scorer in Kobe White back. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of integrate him back in, being that one of the points offensively. But I mean, you talked about feeling good about your sixth man of the year. I feel good about us take. I mean, Buzelis is playing out of his mind right now off the bench. He's got some spot starts here and there, but again, I mean, he's showcasing why he was kind of projected to be the number one pick before Ricochet kind of exceeded him in that race. But I like the Knicks here. I think early on we thought it would be a little bit bumpy just because of a new system Mike Brown implements, and he's relying more on ball movement, playing a ton of guys. And, I mean, the Knicks just aren't used to playing that style. So Jalen Brunson's not had any issues. I mean, averaging about 31. But you talked about Towns. I think he was probably the biggest adjustment that's been made because I don't think Mike Brown's played with a big of – I don't think he's coached a big of Karl Anthony Towns' caliber, if I'm not mistaken, in his tenure. So it's new to both of those guys.
I mean, what do you have? You had Dwight Howard for 5 games?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't have a ton, but just the ability that Cat has to shoot, and I mean, offensive ability. I don't think he's had a guy like that, so it's kind of a little bit tougher on both parties. So I think they'll get that worked out. Vucevic has been really good as well in the interior, but I think the Knicks kind of find a way to kind of grind this game down, slow the game down. I think they'll play a little bit better defensively. So I like the Knicks minus the 4.5 to get it done.
Yeah, I think the Knicks are the better team, but I'll actually take the Bulls in this one. I'm probably not going to bet this side, but I just don't know if I want to lay 4.5 with the Knicks, who've shown me nothing on the road so far this season. Chicago's been good at home. The crowd's into it as well. Kind of like Philly, what I said before, where the fans maybe weren't expecting much. But you know what? It's a pretty hot ticket right now. The team's fun to watch. They've been winning games. I think the atmosphere is going to be solid. If the Knicks won, would I be shocked? Of course not. I mean, the Knicks are the more talented team. But based on the adjustments they're going to have to make under Mike Brown, with Towns playing through injury, which hasn't helped, will Robinson play? We never know because he's always hurt. So we'll see what happens. But I think Chicago, based on their current form, might be able to keep this game very close. If this was one possession late, I wouldn't be surprised, so I'll take the points here. If the Knicks won and covered, once again, wouldn't be shocked. 4.5, though, on the road. I'll wait for the Knicks to win a road game before I actually lay 2 possessions with them. So give me the Bulls plus the points here. Not going to bet it, but I do think the Bulls can make this game quite interesting. Moving on to the next game. The Lakers taking on the Grizzlies. So Grizzlies are favored by 1.5, and the over-under's at 238.5. It's the Austin Reeves show so far for the Lakers. They blew a massive lead against Minnesota, and then Reeves bailed them out with a game winner at the end. But for the injury report, Luka might return. We'll see. He's questionable. LeBron's still out. You have Smart, who's questionable. Who cares? Revenge game for Marcus Smart, if anyone cares about that. No Kleber, no Vincent, etc. For Memphis, still missing some front court guys. No Clark, no Edey. And then for the backcourt, no Jerome and no Pippen. So I'll ask you, because we know Memphis at home can be dangerous, but they can't guard anybody either. The Lakers have looked okay recently. I wouldn't say they've been overly impressive. It's mostly Reeves carrying everybody, but they have won 3 of the last 4. All their games are pretty high scoring. But you know what? Beat Minnesota twice and beat Sacramento. Did lose to the Blazers in the game in between. But I'll ask you about the Lakers because this team looks, I'd say, okay. The competition's been fine, and Reeves has been going crazy. But any thoughts? Because the Grizzlies, we know, can't defend, but at least they can score. So they have more scoring depth than the Lakers. Is that enough to win a home game?
Yeah, so I think if Luka plays, I would want the Lakers. But if he doesn't, I would want the Grizzlies. I know that's kind of a cop-out, but it's just that the Grizzlies, like without Luka, this line is saying that they're basically basically saying the Lakers are better because the Grizzlies have a really good home court advantage. And I don't think that to be true, especially at home. I think this should be probably about 3 if Luka's not playing. If Luka's not playing, I will take the Grizzlies at home. Although they haven't been, world beaters of any cause. I mean, they struggled. They had to have a game winner by Ja to beat Phoenix, who was without Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green.
They were up a ton in that game too.
Yeah, so the Lakers typically don't play well against teams who are younger, more athletic, and have wing guys who can do something.
Because they could run and nobody in the Lakers' backcourt can guard anybody.
Exactly, and I think Josh should have a field day. To be honest with you, Memphis doesn't have the wings that could kind of expose some of the defensive lapses that the Lakers have with their wing defense. So that is kind of an advantage there, whether they want to play through Rui and Jake LaRavia. Jake LaRavia is making his appearance back in Memphis. And if you just take a look at Rui's stats when he plays Memphis, unreal. He turns into Michael Jordan. He's unreal against Memphis. So if you want to look at a player prop there, I think that's the way to go. But it's kind of a cop-out answer, to be honest, Scott, because if Luka's playing, I want the Lakers. But if he's not, I want the Grizzlies on the money line. I think this can come down to the last possession. I mean, Austin Reeves has been incredible this 3-game stretch. Numbers-wise, the best 3-game stretch in Laker history since Jerry West, in way back when. So he's playing out of his mind. But I do think there is some value on Memphis if Luka is indeed out for this game.
Yeah, so I thought about maybe gambling if you want to go for Reeves 10 assists. Plus 265. Now, of course, you want Luka to be out for that play to actually cash. But I think it's a decent price. He had 16 assists last game. The ball's in his hands the entire time. If Luka plays, you got problems. But I do think you make an argument that with how well Reeves is playing and with the team winning 3 of 4, they might not force Luka back because they've actually been winning some games. So we'll see what happens. So just to be clear, you're going Lakers if Luka plays and Grizzlies if he does not play.
Yeah, I like that angle a little bit more. I mean, just because I think Josh should probably score close to 35. I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up a monster number. I mean, the ball's been in his hands a lot. He's playing a ton more because they don't have Pippen, they don't have Jerome, so they don't really have any backup guards. And that's kind of what their weakness is whenever he goes to the bench. They don't have anybody to kind of initiate offense. They're running the offense through Jaren Jackson, who is not, he's not been good as of late. So I think the Grizzlies are going to be really locked in. They always play well against the Lakers, especially at home on a Friday night. They haven't had much cup success either since it's been endured. A lot of that had to do with injury. So I think they want to get off to a good start now. But if Luka comes in, obviously that changes the dynamic of how they'll be able to defend. So yeah, I like Memphis if Luka's out.
Yeah, for me, I feel like the side's too uncertain without knowing the status of Luka. So this feels like a prop game to me. I'm going to go with Coward at 12.5 points, even money. It's at 14 plus in 4 of the first 5 games. Kid's good. I mean, you flew up the actual draft boards right around the combine, etc. Good reason. This guy can play. But either way, I think 12.5 is too low. As for the side and total, I don't mind the over because Memphis just can't guard anybody, and the Lakers, if Luka comes back, definitely can't guard anybody. But I like the over in this game. For the actual side, I don't have a thought. I need to know if Luka's playing or not. So give me some props instead for this one. Moving on to the next game, Jazz taking on the Suns. They played about a week ago. Crazy overtime game where the Jazz were up a ton, choked it, but won in overtime courtesy of the Laurie 50-piece. So we'll see what happens here in the rematch. Suns, though, laying 2.5. The over-under's at 236.5. Now, blindly, I like Utah. I don't trust them on the road, but watching the Suns play, this team should not be favored against anybody. 2.5, I feel like, is a spread that I get there at home. Then again, Suns fans don't want to be in the building because this team stinks. But you look at the injury report, and you have no Brooks and no Green, the 2 main pieces they got back in the KD trade. So once again, missing some potential scoring and defense with Brooks. For Utah, look, the issue with Utah every year is them tanking. But it's too early in the season to tank. The team looks pretty good. Like, Kessler's had a good start to the season. Laurie's been ridiculous. We saw that in Eurobasket over the offseason. He looks fantastic. Still a bit too much Keontae George for me, but he's been okay so far this season. Filipowski's been kind of a mess, but I do think he can play better than he has been. But for Phoenix, I mean, Booker's been kind of up and down. Grayson Allen, O'Neal, decent role players. Mark Williams has been okay, but I don't think Phoenix is any good. So I'll take Utah, even blindly, in what could be a tank ball matchup by season's end. Plus money on what I think is the better team against a Suns team that looks bad, and they're missing 2 of their main players with Brooks and with Jalen Green, who hasn't played a game for them yet this season. Give me Utah. They led the entire game, and then they choked and they won anyway in overtime. I'll take Utah, plus the points.
Yeah, I love Utah this year. Took their over. I've been betting them probably, I think, every game up until this point. I'm going to go with Phoenix here. I mean, Phoenix has been close despite their bad numbers. I mean, they're shooting 44% from the field, which is the 5th lowest in the league. They're committing the 3rd highest turnovers at 17.7, and that just goes to show they don't have a point guard. They didn't have a point guard last year. They didn't address that this year. So that's going to be like a rerecurring theme with this team.
A Tyus Jones reunion, question mark?
Yeah, I don't know if he wants to go back there.
I don't think so either.
He probably should go back to Memphis, to be honest. But yeah, and I think Utah doesn't have the ball pressure to kind of speed them up. So I think that's an advantage for Phoenix. They've been having the ball in Devin Booker's hands a lot more, which is typically a good thing. But, history has shown that Phoenix has been better, like when Chris Paul was there, and they moved Devin Booker off ball. When he can play more of his natural 2-guard spot, he's been more efficient, better at what he does. But Mark Williams has been playing well. I mean, back-to-back double-doubles. And, Phoenix, they've been right there. They just can't close. They lost that overtime game to the Jazz, lost in a game winner to Memphis that we just talked about. So they've been right there. This is essentially like a pick 'em to me. I think if the Suns win, I think they win comfortably. And if they lose, I don't think they lose by. I don't think they. If they win, I don't think they win by less than a possession. So I'm going to take Phoenix at home. They've pretty much dominated the Utah in the past. I think they won 10 of the last 11.
Except the last one.
Yeah, except that one, and they had a chance. They had a chance to do it, but
to be fair, the Suns were actually good or decent in the past, and Utah has been a bottom feeder for a while. But yeah,
that's true. But I think Phoenix will be able to close. I think it'll be a competitive game. This is probably one of the sneaky competitive games that probably not a lot of people will be watching. But I do think it'll be a good game. I think Phoenix kind of pulls away in the end with a couple of Devin Booker baskets, win by 5 or 6. So I like Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that once again I did mention Utah because I just don't want to lay points with Phoenix. But we mentioned this in the past. Utah at home is a lot different than Utah on the road. So we'll see if the Jazz are going to be awful or not on the road. So far this season, just for reference, by the way, the Jazz are currently 0-1 on the road. So they played a lot of home games. Only road game, they lost to the Kings by 1. So they were in there, just were not able to get the job done. Then again, the Kings stink. So either way. Moving on to the next game. So the second and last game of the card, Nuggets laying 4.5 against Portland. The over-under's at 240.5. Joker has been walking the triple-doubles every game. 4 games, 4 triple-doubles. So there you go. For the actual injury report for these teams, Denver is, I'd say, mostly healthy. Jamal Murray, classic questionable tag, because why wouldn't he be? 4 games into the season. You have, of course, Cam Johnson, who's probable, but to be honest, he's been awful so far this season. We'll see if he gets back on track. For Portland, Sharp is probable. Chris Murray's questionable. Time Lord, who I forgot still in the league, is questionable. No Scoot and no Tybal. Props to Tybal, though, played in some games this season, which I was not expecting. But either way, for the actual matchup itself, we know Denver is an inner circle title contender. Portland, though, is feisty. Like, I think this team's pretty good. They lost to the Clippers on the road, and they lost to the Timberwolves in the first game of the season, a game that they actually led going into the fourth. They kind of fell apart down the stretch and had 40. It happens. Beat Utah by 2, misleading. They were up by 19 entering the fourth quarter. They kind of coasted in that one, and they beat the Lakers on the road by 14. Hot take, I kind of like Portland in this game. I think Portland has the guards to frustrate Denver, especially if Murray's compromised or going to be out for this game. Klingon can rim protect. They can score. They can run. I do like the fact they can play up tempo, force Joker to run up and down the court. I like this Portland team. I think Portland's entertaining. I think they're fun, and I think they're pretty deep. Denver's bench with Brown and with the other guys they've shown has been better than the past. I'm still not sure if it's a great, I'd say, bench unit, but it's better than I remember with Westbrook, etc. But I do think Portland matchup-wise can actually frustrate this team with on-ball pressure, using Drew Holiday to frustrate, potentially compromise Murray, or maybe even Strawther, if Strawther's starting. But I don't mind Portland in this game. I think that the Moda Center should be pretty amped for this one. Portland looks actually decent. Good enough for me. Give me Portland. I think they're actually live to win the game.
Yeah, I think so. I like Denver, and I think they opened 6.5, and it's down to 4.5 because of Jamal Murray. So I think that's maybe like a sign that he may not play. So I probably want to wait until it actually like hits the screen that he's not playing, and it maybe comes down a little bit more.
Well, just to ask, when it comes to your, sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
You're mentioning the spread coming down. Does Murray playing make or break your choice on this game?
No, I'm still gonna like Denver regardless.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm still gonna like Denver regardless. I just would rather get the best number that I can get if he is ruled out and it's not officially, baked into the number. But I mean, Denver's been rolling. You talked about Joker. He could, he's got a shot at history here. Could become the first player in NBA history to open the year with 5 triple doubles. And he had his last triple double in 28 minutes last game because they were blowing the team.
Yeah, New
out.
Orleans is also a fake team, but yeah, he had that in 3 quarters.
Definitely. I mean, Portland's been really good. You talked about their pace. I think that's one of the things that they've harped on, like coming into the season. They've scored 122 plus points in all of their wins. The pace is kind of picking up. I do agree they have the kind of pieces to match up, physically with the Nuggets, but I think the Nuggets will be way more efficient. I don't trust the interior scoring of Portland. I think Joker is obviously not a good rim protector, but the defense has kicked up for Denver. I think their perimeter defense has gotten better. It'll be a struggle for Portland to kind of get some points. If they can keep them out of transition and make them, execute in the half court, I think that's an advantage for Denver. Portland's really good. I love the Portland team. Love them coming in. I think a little bit too much respect for them. I'm going to take Denver. Denver's won 3 straight by an average of 23-plus points. I think they roll here with or without Murray. I think it's a little bit too much respect for Portland. So I'm going to take Denver.
I do think the pushback, though, is going to be Denver's strength of schedule because they should have beaten Golden State. They punted that game away down the stretch. They wasted a 50-piece by Aaron Gordon. After that, they beat the Suns, who I think are terrible. Beat Minnesota. Was not easy for him for about 3 quarters, and Ant didn't play in the game. And they got basically a free win there because Ant being out, that Timberwolves team is not very good. And they beat New Orleans, who's by definition a fake team. Shout out to Atlanta, who owns their draft pick. Anyway, point is Denver, I of course think is a great team because I have them to win this entire championship preseason. But I want to point out that I do think their schedule has been pretty easy, especially with Ant not playing in the Minnesota game. So I think Portland, I'll put it this way. I see JT mentioning that Billups might get Ty Lue locked up. I'll mention the Clippers game in a second. The point I'll make, though, and why I'm bringing it up right now, I think Splitter's been good as a coach. For a guy that filled in as an interim, as an assistant that got promoted because of the Billups scandal, Splitter looks comfortable out there. I think he's done a good job with this team so far. So I think that there's no, I'd say, Billups effect here, where you could argue they don't have a real coach. They're kind of making up on the fly. No, I think Splitter has a decent pulse on his team pretty quickly into his coaching tenure. But I'll go with the Trailblazers. I do think the Trailblazers are, in my opinion, a live team here. And if Murray ends up playing or not playing, Drew Holiday, I know is past his prime, can still really frustrate you defensively. You throw Kamara in there too. They can really frustrate Denver ball handlers in this game. So I don't mind going for Portland at home. Line feels short for a reason. Feels pretty trappy to me. I'll go for Portland in this home game. Moving on to the last game. Speaking of Ty Lue going to jail, you have the Pelicans taking on the Clippers for this one. Clippers laying 10.5, and the over-under is at 223.5. The Clippers, I think, have been the most frustrating team for me so far this season. For the injury report for the Clippers, you have basically full strength for the Clippers. We see Beal back in the lineup. For New Orleans, Looney's doubtful, and DeJounte, of course, is out for a while. New Orleans, we know, stinks. So there's really no controversy there. Queen looks okay, I guess, as a bench big. But you signed DeAndre Jordan, so your team clearly has problems. For the Clippers, I don't really know what to make of this team. They've played 4 games. They lost to the Warriors, who are on a back-to-back. They were not on a back-to-back. Golden State was. They scored 79 points and lost by 19. In their other road game, they played Utah, trailed by about 47, and lost by 21. However, both games at home in the Intuit Dome, they've been good. Beat Portland by 7 and beat Phoenix by 27. So the Clippers might be a very good home team, bad road team. We'll see. New Orleans, though, is a waste of space. So I might go Clippers because I actually like them with the home crowd. And New Orleans has quit on the season. We're only 4 games in. So I guess I'm on the Clippers, but do I think the Ty Lue thing's a distraction? Maybe. Do I care that much? Not really. It's more just based on New Orleans. At this point, I just can't touch this team with a 10-foot pole. So I'll go with the Clippers, who are undefeated at home. I don't know how good I feel about it, but they are definitely better than New Orleans. And after watching New Orleans give up 122 to both Boston and Denver, they've scored less than 91 points in back-to-back games. This team can't score. And Zion's actually been playing in some games. So I am concerned. I think everybody is. And I got nothing else to add. I guess I'm on the Clippers, but it's mostly just me thinking the Pelicans are a joke of a franchise.
Yeah, I love the Clippers, man. Pelicans, this is speaking on some of the things that you highlighted because I was going to highlight them as well. Pelicans outscored 244 to 178 the last 2 games. The Clippers, completely night and day at home. 2-0 at home. You talked about it. 0-2 on the road. At home, 121.5 points per game. On the road, 93.5. And Ty Lue talked about some of the things that he wanted to change. So he said he's going to be a little bit, quicker to get Kawhi and James Harden a little bit more rest because early on, without Beal, they didn't have a ton of ball handlers or initiators. So both of those guys kind of got gassed in the second half of that game, and that's kind of what led to they scored 30 second half points versus Golden State.
It was a mess.
Shot 36.6% from the field.
I believe Harden had 0 points in the second.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I think he scored like 15 in the first. I forgot what it was, but it was.
He had 20 in the first half. He finished with 20.
Yeah, so I think that this will be a big spot for them. I would lay it. Denver was laying 12.5, and the game was pretty much over in the second quarter. I think we can see a similar game here. Zubac should eat. Harden should get in the paint at will. Kawhi should eat in the mid-range. They don't have any perimeter defenders. I do think that this is a candidate for, like me and Terrell talked about it, team to score 100 points in 3 quarters. The Clippers are primed to do that here, especially after that lackluster performance. I think Lue will mix up the lineups a little bit more. I think the Clippers roll. 10.5, a little bit too short. I think they win by 15, 16.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I just think this Pelicans team is terrible. I see a question, though, from the comment section if you are looking at or if Zion is injured or not. He came back last game. I mean, he only played 26 minutes because they were getting killed, and he had 11 points. So he played, wasn't really that impactful, but he should be playing in this one. Then again, with Zion, you never know, because Zion might be on the injury report late in the afternoon. We've seen that before, too. But either way, as far as I know, he's playing. But New Orleans mentally might not show up. So keep that in mind. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the actual games for Friday. Before we get into the Lock and Dog picks, reminder they're brought to you by our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. So use them for pick 'em entries. You have to win 5,000 times your entry. Pick higher or lower on your favorite player stats. Also check out the new offer they have for new customers. Play just $5. Get $100 bonus funds. Use the promo code NBA SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. So they're crocheting college football, the NFL, and now the NBA. They just added. They're also giving away cash prize every week. So tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets of the same type of model that you build, and you can win $1K. And a reminder, Use the code SGPN25 when you're on there with a man for a quarter off first month. Download them once again, promo code SGPN25 for a quarter off first month. Promo code SGPN25 for a quarter off your first month. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Podcast. Finished going through all of our game previews for Friday. Time to run into the lock and dog picks. Lonte, what do you go first? What's going to be your lock and dog for the NBA Cup games on Friday?
Yeah, so the lock, I'm going to go to a game we talked about earlier. I like Cleveland to bury Toronto, especially early on. I'm going Cleveland first quarter -2.5. I think that's a really good value. I think Cleveland obviously dominates. And you talked about something that would put people on more favorites is the point margin. So it's going to be a lot of teams like looking to score and add margin on to their score because it helps in the end. So I think that's motivation for favorites. So if you like a favorite, I think you want to play like alt lines, which is something that I'm going to play later on. But yeah, I like Cleveland early on, especially coming back to their building after a lackluster second half, I would say, on the road. They're back home. We know what to expect with Toronto. No defense. I don't really trust their interior presence at all. So I think that Cleveland should be able to dominate on the interior, and Donovan Mitchell should get to the paint at will. So I'm going to go with the first quarter -2.5 for Cleveland. For the dog, can you go real quick? I'm going to get I don't have an alt number. I'm going to get an alt number on the Denver game and see if I can. I'll come back to me.
Okay, wait. So you want me to go while you pull that up?
Please, I want to try to find an accurate number.
All right, cool. So for the lock, I'm actually going to go to a player prop. I do think it's a good matchup in general. And the fact is, we know New Orleans is quite bad. Clippers off a complete no-show. I think it's a good spot for the Clippers in general. I'm going to trust James Harden. I'll take his assists. He had 1 assist against Golden State. We know normally that doesn't fly for Harden. I think he'll be in stat pad mode for this one. He's had at least 10 assists in 2 straight against New Orleans. I think it's a good matchup. New Orleans can't stop anybody. I think it's a good spot for Harden. I'll take Harden assists for a bounce-back game here. One last game, he might go into overkill and maybe have like 14 assists in this game. Wouldn't shock me, but I think that Harden looks sharp here. I'll go for his assist at 8.5 as my lock at around -120. For my dog, I'm going to go with Cleveland. I'll go with the play that you brought up for a different game, actually. Cleveland 100 points in the first 3 quarters, plus 330 against Toronto, who gave up 139 to the Rockets and the Mavericks. So once again, this team can't guard anybody. Again, Mitchell might not play. We'll see. But the point is, Cleveland, 330 is an insane price at home against a team that plays fast and doesn't guard anybody. So give me the Cavs to score 100 points in the first 3 quarters at plus 330 as my dog for the show. Kind of swinging for the fences with that prop. Anyway, did you find a price?
Yeah, 175 is the price. That's at DraftKings, but shop around. DraftKings is an easier one to kind of look at because they have the sliders and you can just slide them. But other books, I don't know how they kind of differentiate it. But plus 175, Denver -9.5. I think they win by double digits. I really like the spot for them. If Murray doesn't play, or if he does play, if he doesn't play, that number will probably go up even more. But I think that they can control the game, slow the tempo down for Portland, and force them to execute in the half court. And I don't think that's what Portland wants to do. So I like Denver -9.5 plus 175. All
right. Sounds good. So moving on to the underdog entry, I'm going to ask you if there's any plays you want to recycle that we talked about, or if there's anything that you were kind of eyeing.
If we did we talk about Rui? I like Rui. I like his points.
You mentioned Rui earlier in the show, but I can definitely include that.
Yeah, Rui's going to go crazy tonight. I like Rui. I like his points.
Okay, so Rui points are available at 14.5.
Yeah, he'll score 15 plus.
Actually, it might be a bit higher on Underdog. Let me just quickly see. Is it even on Underdog? Okay, so they're kind of robbing you. It's 15.5 on Underdog. And it's
I like 14.5 better. So we can go away from that. I like your Coward play because of the perimeter defense that lacks for the Lakers.
Okay. So looking at Coward quickly, his points are at. They might have bumped this. Okay, so it's 11.5 on Coward. So you're actually getting an extra point here, which I appreciate. Okay, so we'll go for Coward higher, 11.5 points. Anything else you're interested in?
We don't have the status of Jared Allen yet because I want to look at his rebounds, but I'm pretty sure it's not there. So Evan Mobley points rebounds because he'll be dominating the interior against CMB tonight.
Oh, that's fine. So Mobley points and rebounds are at 30.5. We can take that. For reference, for last 4 meetings against the Raptors, he actually has had a double-double in the last 3. So he actually has been playing pretty well. His double-double is expensive, so it's a better way to go about it. Rebounds are at 10.5. I don't know if you like the points included or if you want to just go for
I like the points included. I think you'll have a monster day on the glass and offensively.
Okay, so I'll go for Mobley 30.5, and I'll throw in my Harden play for 8.5 assists as the last one. Just making sure it's 8.5, though, on Underdog as well. It's a bit juiced, though, at 8.5, so not exactly the best price for Harden. I think I'll actually pass. Not really a fan of that number. Think if there's anything else we really talked about that we liked. I mean, did you want to just go Devin Booker?
Yeah, I love Devin Booker. Or Ja, whichever one you prefer.
Yeah, we'll go Ja. Why not? I mean, I'll dare Ayton to block something. So his points are at 25.5. I'm fine with the higher on that.
Yeah, I think he'll score 30, 35. This will be a big night for him.
So once again, the 3-pick entry for Underdog, we are going to go with John Morant. We're going to go with his higher, 25.5 points. We'll go with his teammate, Cedric Coward. We're going to go with his points higher, 11.5. And we'll go with James Harden higher. Sorry, not James Harden. We're going to go with Mobley. Once again, higher, 30.5 PR. So once again, Ja, higher, 25.5 points. Coward, higher, 11.5 points. And Mobley, higher, 30.5 PR as the Underdog entry. Anyway, it's going to wrap it up for the show. Lonte, anything else you want to add?
That's about it, man. It's a good Friday slate. Hopefully, we can do a good job. I feel really good about this card. So, man, hopefully we can get some winners.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Once again, be careful with your eyes. A lot of bright courts out tonight, so keep an eye out for it. That Bulls court, if it's what I remember it being, a lot of red. So just full warning there. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter, Radio. Find me on Twitter at ExcellentXX. Check out the NBA Gambling Podcast either on YouTube, like, subscribe, Spotify, or Apple. You don't forget to leave a rating and a review. Until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets.